Councillor Vag can't get her camera to work, so just so we know. And can we invite in the members of the public, please? So that
and it's somebody called Nick Truman, Sam Atherton,
yes.
Anna Groscott, and Howard Ellard.
Yeah. So Nick will be talking to one of the Good Stuff Fund bids.
Okay. Don't forget we're recording now.
Thank you. Councillor Vag can't get her camera to work, so just so we know.
Okay.
Right.
Hi, Anna.
Hello. Hi, Tom. Hi, everyone.
Anna Groscott and Howard.
Is that why is it back feeding, Clark? One of the Good Stuff Fund bids. Is it because YouTube has still got volume on your system?
Got it now.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Right. Welcome. Good evening and welcome to Wincanton Town Council full council meeting on the 22nd of February at 7 p.m. and it's currently 19:04. So tonight we are going through the standard agenda with some with guests invited to speak. Can I ask firstly, councillors, before we enter the full agenda, that you confirm you've had receipt of all the papers and the agenda for tonight's meeting? Can you raise your hand to confirm that, please? And Councillor Vag has raised a virtual hand. Councillor Vag, you may also need to put yourself on, take yourself off mute when you're speaking if you are unable to put your camera on, to not only put a hand up to approve or whatever you wish to say in terms of voting, but also to ensure that it's verbally recorded on YouTube. Can you take yourself off mute to confirm you've understood that, Councillor Vag, please? Councillor Vag? Okay, well, I'm hoping that it's an issue with.
Have you seen the text message she sent?
Yes, I have. That she can no longer. She can't put herself on camera. And we now have Councillor Thomas, who's joined the meeting as well. So yeah, welcome.
Apologies for that.
That's okay. I think connectivity tonight is an issue.
Terrible.
Okay, so we're now Councillor Thomas live on YouTube. So welcome. Can you confirm you've had receipt of the papers?
I have received them, yes, thank you.
And I can confirm to council we are quorate, so able to proceed with the meeting. So before we enter the formal part of the meeting, I first would like to undertake public participation. And in that, before I do, I'd like to read a statement, please. Before the meeting, the chair may allow public session to enable people to ask questions of council and make comments in accordance with Standing Orders 3E and 3H. Questions are directed to council and should be restricted to matters on the agenda. Members of the public are not to verbally abuse or harass a member of the council. Questions not answered in the meeting will be answered in writing to the person asking the question or may appear as an agenda item for the next meeting. Members of the public are asked to restrict their comments and/or questions to 3 minutes, and it's up for a maximum period of time of 21 minutes from memory. So, welcome. We have, I believe, 3 members of the public attending. Nick Truman, I believe you're attending for the Good Stuff item.
Yes, I am.
But you are obviously welcome to speak in public participation. And we
that's fine. No, I've got nothing to say. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And we have 2 other members of the public who've attended the meeting tonight. Can I ask, do you wish to speak at this time?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Mr. Ellard, I invite you to speak at 7 minutes past 7.
Okay, I'd like to talk to you about a matter that you're discussing on your agenda under item 7D, which is an application for a grant by the Wincanton Recreational Trust. This is a matter that you have considered previously, and as you will recall, Wincanton Recreational Trust made an application to replace the one made by Wincanton Sports Ground Management Company, largely at your behest. And just for information, the two organisations are practically speaking the same thing now. But I'd like to remind councillors before you make a decision on whether or not to award that grant, that the sports ground has had no income of late, and it's likely to be at least 6 months from the time we stopped receiving any income until we start getting any, assuming lockdown proceeds in the way that the Prime Minister announced today. So that would have been 6 months without any income at all. And significant parts of last year, we had no income either. This is clearly something which is very difficult for us to carry on living with. And the ability of us to carry on offering the service that we offer to the townsfolk by way of having a place to walk their dogs, undertake exercise and so forth, will diminish over time. And without your grant, the period of time we can last without any income will be even shorter. So I ask you again, please, will you pay the money that you previously awarded to the Sports Ground Management Company to the Recreation Trust? As I say, they are practically speaking the same organisation. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak at this time? No? Okay, thank you. I now then close public participation and move into the first item on the agenda, which is apologies. Clerk, do we have any apologies we wish to note tonight?
I haven't received any apologies, no.
Thank you. We now move on to the second item on the agenda, which is declaration of interest. And I'd remind members to declare any interest they may have in an agenda item that accords with the requirements of the Council's Code of Conduct. So at this time, are there any members of Council that need to now declare an interest in any item on the agenda? Could you now unmute and raise your hand to speak, if that is the case? Okay, thank you. Moving on, that item is closed. To 3 minutes of previous meeting. So we have 3 points on the agenda. The first point being to receive and sign the minutes of the Zoom meeting held on the 25th of January in accordance with Standing Orders 12C. So of those minutes, councillors would have received those. Are there any comments in relation to the minutes? Yes, Councillor Tudgay.
Evening, Chair. In the full council meeting where we discussed the precept, we have not actually put the full amount of precept that we've asked for. Should that not be stated in those minutes?
Thank you. Clerk, can I invite you to respond, please?
Yes, that's fine. I can add those that figure in, which was £325,238. I can add that to the minutes. If you were minded to approve the minutes apart from that, I can make that amendment with the with a new version.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Tudgay and Clark. Can I then ask councillors of the other actions and notes in the minutes, are there any other comments anyone wishes to make? No one's actually raising a hand to state they wish to make any further amendments. So can I have, firstly, I understand we need to approve the amendment. Are you happy for us, Clerk, to approve the amendment as part of the full minutes, or do you wish it to be amended separately?
You can just say you approve the draft minutes with the proviso that the clerk makes the amendments of adding the precept amounts accordingly.
Okay, thank you. So can I have a proposer with that statement in mind? So Councillor Tudgay's proposed that we amend the minutes in accordance with the words stated by the clerk, confirming the sum of money for precept and finalising at that point the minutes. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Waters, thank you. And can I have a vote from council if you are for approving the minutes of the 25th of January? So I have Councillor Thomas, Councillor Smith, Councillor Waters, Councillor Tudgay, Councillor Ralph, Councillor Thomas, Councillor Smith, Councillor Thomas. Did I say you twice? So you've all moved around the screen, which says to me someone's left the meeting. I'm just trying to work out who's left the meeting.
No one's left the meeting. When somebody puts their hand up, their little box goes to the top left-hand corner. So Vicky's put her hand up to vote for approving the minutes, but by doing so, she's moved the order.
Okay, thank you for making me aware of that. So I'm going to start again because I confused the matter. So it's I apologise. So Councillor Vag has raised a hand, and in a minute, can I ask if you're able to unmute? Can you verbally confirm do you approve? Myself, Councillor Shelbourne Barrow, Councillor Tudgay, Councillor Waters, Councillor Ralph, Councillor Thomas, Councillor Power, and Councillor Smith. So as I understand it, that's unanimous. Thank you. We then have 3B to note the draft minutes.
And I'll add a yes to that.
Pardon? Sorry, who spoke? There was a voice.
That was Vicky, Councillor Bagg. She was confirming verbally that.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Bagg. Okay, 3B, to note the draft minutes of the Governance and General Purposes meeting held on the 1st of January. We will be deferring this item due to the fact the minutes were not available at this time to be included with the agenda and papers. So can I ask, Clerk, how would you like that to be recorded? Do you want us to vote on that deferral?
We don't have to vote on deferrals.
Okay, so we're deferring it to the next meeting, which is at the end of March. 3C, to note the draft minutes of the stakeholder group meeting held on the 26th of January. So councillors would have received the papers for that meeting. Are there any comments due to the papers of the 26th of January, the stakeholder group? If not, can I ask for a proposer, please? So are there any amendments first?
You're just noting them. You're not making any decisions on them or anything, just noting that they exist.
All right, sorry, I apologise. So we're noting that the minutes exist. Are there any comments? If not, we will move on with the agenda. Thank you. One moment. I've got 3 different screens going at the minute, which is no mean feat. So the next item on the agenda is to review, point 4, to review the action notes from the previous meeting. So one moment. Okay. So councillor.
Sorry, Madam Chairman. Councillor
Yes.
Thomas has got his hand up.
I beg your
No,
pardon,
I'm
Thomas.
sorry. It's all right. I've got so much problem with my internet. If I drop out, I'll try and come back in, but I'm not hopeful at the moment. Sorry.
That's okay. I don't know what's going on with connectivity tonight. It's a chat. And as he says that, he disappears. So Councillor Thomas has left the meeting at 16 minutes past 7. I'm sure he'll rejoin us. Thank you for making me aware that Councillor Thomas raised a hand a moment ago. So in terms of items, I'm trying to be clever with too many screens, and I'm telling you, it's a real challenge. So the minutes of the, we were going through the action points from the previous meeting, the meeting being the one held in January. And they start on line 18 from what I see. Welcome back, Councillor Thomas, at 17 minutes past 7. So the 25th of the 1st, 21, there are 5 actions. Can I ask the clerk, please, to talk to these? shall I talk and then, can you not? All right.
Before I look at the list, otherwise it doesn't work on me. So a member of the public came and talked about need for grit bins at Kinklebury Street at the junction of Common Road and Deansley Way. So I've emailed County Highways about the grit bins. I haven't heard back from them yet, but as an interim measure, we arranged for some bags of grit to be delivered to that person when we had that little spate of cold weather just recently. And she was happy to store those and dish out the grits as required. The same member of the public also asked about an expected zebra crossing, which was supposed to have been installed at Common Road. So I did some research about that and found that there was a mention of a zebra crossing having to be installed by the developer of that whole estate that includes Kinklebury Street. So I've sent an email with Ian's blessing. Ian as chair, Councillor Thomas as chair of the planning committee. I sent an email to the district council to ask them if they could follow it up. Again, I haven't heard back from them yet. And again, the same member of the public alerted us to potholes at the car park at the recreation ground. So they are being filled on a temporary basis tomorrow with I'm going to say road planings, or it could be scalpings. I can't remember exactly what they're called. So that's going to be done temporarily, because to fix the whole car park will cost sort of tens of thousands of pounds. So we'll just have to patch it up for now, but all those things have been dealt with.
Thank you.
There were some public questions about the sports ground grant, which I dealt with. I had to update the terms of reference for the Open Spaces Committee and have those put on the website, which I did. And I had to tell the district council that councillors Ralph and Power were going to be the MTIG representatives, which I did.
Thank you. And the final item on the actions for the last meeting was to do with the rural transport, and I believe that's
the last action was to put all those items onto the agenda, so that they're all on the agenda. I didn't think it was worth reading those out.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments, council? No? Thank you very much for that. So
Councillor Power has his hand up, Chair.
Yes, Councillor Power.
Just looking at the minutes again, I see no report from our district and county councillors again, because I know we've got Anna present.
It's point 5 on our agenda today.
Oh, sorry, didn't read that right. Sorry, that's fine.
That's
sorry.
Okay. No problem. So moving now from having reviewed the actions from the previous meeting, I now move to point 5, which is reports from county and district councillors. So I'd like to invite the county councillor representative to speak.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. I have sent my report, my February report. I hope you've all received it. Clark looks bemused, but I did send it to everyone.
Did I forward that to everybody? I don't remember receiving it, but I work for 3 different councils, so sometimes things happen. I'm not sure if I imagined it or not.
Okay, well, I sent a February report, but it doesn't matter, because when I did it, it was on the 29th of January. So obviously the COVID figures are way out, because at that time we were 209.1 per 100,000. And now you will be joyfully receive the news that it's 52, which is amazing news. The difference from the end of January to now. The support line remains the same. The vaccination rollout is going well. The transport schemes that have been put in place so that people can travel to be vaccinated was in my report. I will send it again. I did this really because I didn't want to waste your time. There are lots of investments in the communities, Bruton Community Enterprise Centre, Shepton Library, and a new primary school. There'll be a census coming out soon, which we hope by March the 21st. And One Somerset continues as usual. We hope to hear from the Secretary of State this week when the consultations will begin. And I wish to thank everyone who's helped the community in any way during these current dreadful times. and plead with anyone, if they have a neighbour or someone who hasn't been out for a long time, could you just put a note through their door or give them a phone call? Because it's a long time since last March. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions.
Councillors, do you have any questions? Right, well, thank you very much. I very
That's
much
all.
appreciate that. And thank you for sharing with us your report. And our clerk will reshare that with us to ensure that we all have a copy of it as well. So thank you for that. And the point you made about putting a note through people's doors, I think is a really good way of communicating at this difficult time with people. So thank you for that. Moving on to the council, point 6 on the agenda, council matters. The first one, A, is to agree one further councillor to sit on the Open Spaces Committee. So would the clerk or a member of the Open Spaces Committee wish to talk to this in terms of an additional member?
Well, the committee is meant to have 5 members, and you elected 5. You nominated 5, rather 4 were nominated last time, which leaves 1 vacancy. And I was asked to put an item on this agenda to see if somebody else wanted to join the committee.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Vagg, you have your hand up. Do you wish to speak? Okay, so yes, Councillor Tudgay.
We should bear in mind, Chair, that the Open Spaces meeting is scheduled to take place on the 10th of March. So we really do need someone to put their name into the hat.
So do we know who's already on the committee?
Myself, Councillor Waters, Councillor Smith, I believe.
Yeah, I'm on it.
I can't place the other 2.
It was Councillor Smith, Tudgay, Vagg and Walters.
That's right, Vicky, sorry, yes.
And this meeting takes place during the day, or is it an evening, Councillor Tudgay?
Penciled in it for the evening at the moment, I believe. I haven't spoken to the clerk, and as I'm no longer chair, first thing will be to elect a chair. I really don't know.
Okay.
Blind leading the blind.
It will be in the evening at 7 o'clock, the same as all our other meetings.
Thank you, clerk.
Okay, thank you. So the next meeting is the 10th. Are there any councillors who are interested in filling that slot? So I'm presuming that, as with all our other meetings, it's 5 plus 3 would enable you to undertake the business of the day, so to speak, and vote. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if no one else is putting themselves forward, I'd happily be a member of the Open Spaces at this time.
Although you are a member of all committees ex officio anyway.
I know, but if we need 5, then I will, unless anyone else is stepping forward, then we do need to be
It's a
called.
bit unfortunate because I'd have thought that Zach would be a most likely candidate.
Yes. So
We don't know why
if
he's not here, do we?
No, he hasn't submitted apologies. We will need to follow that up, but only because of connectivity issues and other connection issues we've been dealing with. Yes, Councillor Tudgay.
If we're quorate at 3 out of 5, why don't we simply proceed at this point? The initial meeting will mainly be to reset the committee or set the committee up.
Yeah.
So I really don't see, other than I don't think it's enough, but other than that, I don't really see why we can't hold the meeting as it is, so long as we're quorate.
Yeah, so because we're missing Councillor Greening, and I think we've lost Councillor Thomas again as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be better if we continued as we are, knowing that we can operate as a committee. And can I ask that we put this back on the agenda for March to review again, and we can then have a discussion offline with councillors who aren't in attendance to see if they are interested in becoming a member, and I will endeavour to attend that meeting on the 10th as well as a member of council. Are you happy with that, Clerk?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Right. The next item on the agenda is to note the responses from the Future Transport Rural Strategy consultation. So is there any of the councillors nominated who wish to speak to that? If you want to raise your hand, yes, Councillor Ralph.
Chair, it's really to offer an apology actually, which is there was a very short turnaround on this, and I don't think Councillor Tudgay will mind me adding him to this. We both apologise. We were unable to meet the deadline, so we didn't submit the consultation, but we will look out for the white paper because obviously it is a national consultation, I believe.
Okay, so can I then ask, so yes, Councillor Tudgay.
Just to add to that, the actual consultation closed on the 16th of this month. So even if we'd have brought recommendations to tonight's meeting, we would have been too late, whichever way we did it.
Yeah.
But the point was that you councillors were nominated to make responses on behalf of the council, and this was just to note those responses. But Councillor Ralph is correct; it was a short turnaround time.
Can I just ask, can you go back? I wonder if there's mileage in going back and asking if there's any chance that we could submit late, because it takes some time to pull some of these consultations together, and often there is a grey time. Councillor Tudgay.
But the actual online survey has closed. You cannot open it in any shape or form, and they do specifically say that they are not, because of the pandemic, not taking hard copy.
Okay.
So other than by email, whether they would accept late submissions by email, I do not know.
Okay, thank you. I still would like to understand that there's opportunities to us to feed in via any groups that might come out of this process that take place in Somerset. So can I ask the clerk to make contact and say that due to tight turnaround, we're unable to complete the review from our perspective as Wincanton, but we very much would like to have a voice in the Somerset approach to this. Thank you. So Councillor Thomas has rejoined the meeting at 19:30, and I believe we still have a full set other than that. 6C, to consider the updated standing orders and agree to adopt these. So councillors would have received the amended standing orders for Wincanton Town Council. Just to state that the standing orders, for those that are listening to this as members of the public, are the sort of outline, the formal approach on how we should act as a council. And there are elements within it that are in bold, that are legislative, and we need to maintain. And there are other areas within it that we can choose to adopt in accordance with our needs as a town council. And it offers you various options, and we then reviewed those to look at those individually and choose the ones that were appropriate for us as a council. So that piece of work has taken place. It happened following our last council meeting, and today we bring the amended version that councillors have reviewed along with SALC to ensure that they are appropriate for our council at this time. So are there any comments in relation to the standing orders that you have received, councillors? No? So with that in mind, can I ask for someone to propose that we accept the standing orders that have been shared with council? Who would like to propose? Councillor Ralph, and can I have a seconder? And that's Councillor Smith. And can I have a vote, those for approving the revised standing orders? Councillor Tudgay, are you asking to speak or are you voting? Voting. So for, if you're for approving the standing orders. So I have Councillor Thomas, Councillor Ralph, Councillor Power, Councillor Smith, Councillor Waters, Councillor Tudgay, Councillor Shelbourne Barrow, and Councillor Vagg. Councillor Vagg, can you verbally approve that you support the standing orders?
Yes.
Thank you. So with that in mind, we move on to the 6D. So the new standing orders, to finish that item for 6C, the new standing orders will be uploaded onto our website and made available for members of the public to review. And if you have any questions moving forward in relation to any aspect of that, please feel free to contact council through our contact form or directly with staff if you wish to have further clarification. So 6D, to note the open spaces report from the work and maintenance supervisor. Clark, I don't appear to have that because I've had some issues with my email account removing attachments. So it may be that other councillors have it. I think I found it. Sorry, I've said that and now I found it. So councillors, have you reviewed the report from our works and maintenance supervisor? Does anyone have any questions they wish to raise at this time? Councillor Ralph wishes to pose a question. Can I invite you to speak?
Yeah, sorry. The clerk might correct me on this, but I think there's some requests within the report. Are they picked out in our agenda later on, or do we need to?
Not today. I want to do some more work with the work supervisor before those things go on to an agenda. But I was going to just highlight to you that what we would like to do is to look at having a list of nominated suppliers for certain works and items up to a certain amount. And as I say, we need to do a bit more work on that to bring a proper proposal to you. So that's just something that we want to try and do. I think that was the only one, Victor, Lizzie, unless you had anything else.
No, that's fine. It sounds like a very sensible idea. I look forward to hearing more about it.
Any other comments from councillors in relation to the report? So we're only noting this tonight, so we look forward to receiving further correspondence from the work supervisor and yourself, Clark, on all aspects that are appropriate to come through to council again. So moving on to point 7 on the agenda, which is finance. So 7A is to note the following payments have been made since the last full council meeting. So we have 2 payments, reimbursement for purchase of 5 mobile phones and a SIM card, and for the payment and payment for the locum clerk. So any comments from council? No? For a point of clarity, sorry, Councillor Smith.
I just wanted to confirm the bill for the mobile phone. I presume that's for all of the SIMs involved, not just one.
Oh yes. No, Clark, I'll invite you to speak. Thank you.
That was for a SIM just on its own for the project and development coordinator. Plus 5 handsets with SIMs in, obviously. So that's the total price for all of those together.
Okay, thank you.
It also includes, I think, for clarity, an emergency phone that will be available for out of hours contact that we will promote once the training has been made available to staff and councillors who may person that phone. Next. No other comments to that, so we've noted. We're now moving on to 7B. To note, the locum clerk, in consultation with the chair and vice chair, set up 2 of the following direct debits. One is for the mobile phones per month, and one is for information commission officer registration, commissioner's office registration. and that's £35 a year. Any questions from council? No? Thank you. Moving on to 7C, to note the Town Council has been awarded a grant from SSDC of £6,832.25 towards the cost of replacing the lighting at the Mugger and the skate park with LED system, and to consider allocating up to £7,000 from reserves to cover the rest of the cost. So for clarity purposes, council will remember that we discussed including this cost within our budget for 21-22, and council decided to remove that from our budget to look for external funding to support the purchase of that lighting, which we did. We removed it, and the post that we have within council, the project and coordinator post, went out looking for funding, which we identified, and we have identified the £6,832.25. It then leaves us as a council to match fund that. Can I ask for any comments on that before I ask council to vote on the match funding element? Councillor Tudgay, and then Councillor.
Are we going to get new quotes? Because the existing quote we had was quite old now. Are we looking to re-quote this?
Councillor, the clerk, sorry, then Councillor Smith.
I asked the works maintenance supervisor to get in touch with the original quotes company, and they were able to confirm that the quote is still valid now, and they've extended it for a month from a couple of days ago, so it's all still good to go.
Councillor Smith.
I can't remember, did we discuss in detail or get any report about the power consumption and cost savings associated with these lights? Because my feeling still is that while it's nice to be green and it seems like the right thing to go LEDs, I think this is a horribly expensive misuse of money, and it won't pay for itself unless I can be shown that's not the case.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Power.
I've been told by some people that use the skate park that down the recreation ground that they have this lighting thing where they put, I don't know how much money it is into the meter, and you've got a certain amount of pence for an hour or something like that. Howard, is it possible you could clarify that one for me? Because I think you probably will know a lot more information on that one than me.
Yeah, I can confirm that if you use the Astro pitch down there, you need to obtain tokens in order for the lights to come on. That's correct. The tokens they're not coins. You have to buy the token from.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
It doesn't take, it doesn't take normal currency. Put it like that. Do you think
that's a way that we could possibly move? Oh, sorry, Chair.
Sorry. So thank you for that, Councillor Power, inviting a member of the public to speak on this occasion. Councillor Power, do you want to finish that, and then I'll go to Councillor Tudgay?
Yeah. I'm just saying, is there a possible way that we could use that to move forward? Maybe investing in local community, like buy a certain amount of credits, and that credits can go to, let's say, a charity or something like that. We can move that forward. So let's say investing into the town, but using tokens in a way to, maybe it's this way of working together with the community. It's just an idea that we can put forward.
We need to understand what that looks like. So Councillor Power, I would say that, can I ask you to link with Open Spaces as a committee and the clerk to identify what that might look like for us? Councillor Tudgay.
Going back to Councillor Smith's question, surely the company that's given us a quote should be able to give us some idea of proposed savings, use of power savings, I would have thought.
Okay, Clark, can I ask? Yes, Councillor Smith.
So I should have said earlier that also my concern about it's not just a cost. I mean, it'd be a bit trivial to quibble over cost, but at some point you have to question the numbers. So imagine, as Ray was saying, this company ought to be able to give us some idea of the cost implications, but also the fact is that if they're going to be this expensive, then I don't feel like it's an appropriate use of money, because it's not going to have the environmental effect of that much money. It's not a cost-effective way of cutting emissions or anything like that. If we were going to replace all bulbs and all games areas in the country and the world, it would cost billions at that rate, and it wouldn't scratch the surface. So I'm just assuming based on my vague understanding of everything, but I'd quite like to know more about how the cost matches the actual power consumption for that reason, at least.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Ralph.
I should start by saying I do not claim to be an expert on this, but in other work I do, I've been aware of a lot of businesses moving everything they do over to LED. And I believe that in some cases that's because they can reduce the power supply needed down to 1/10 of what was being used before. So I do believe, these systems to offer a significant saving in terms of generated power, and obviously that translates to money as well.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is that we could, the clerk to contact the organisation that provided the quote to gain some understanding of the potential savings for electricity or power. The other bit for me that I think needs to be factored into this is how much we would normally spend on the lights in that area and the electricity to actually light those areas, which varies throughout the year. Obviously winter it's on for longer and summer for less, but nevertheless we'd be able to average out a cost. I think that if we could do that piece of work to gain assurance, it would give us an understanding of the potential savings over time. It won't be a saving in a year, it will be a saving over a longer period of time and what that looks like. Councillor Tudgay.
One last question. I would assume that this grant from SSDC is not open-ended. There would be a time limit to it. Does anybody know what the time limit is?
It's very short time limit. They want to know by tomorrow if the council has agreed to this, because they already gave us a 2-week extension to the deadline for submitting the grant application in the first place.
Okay, so we're in a difficult position now because we have the opportunity for match funding for something that's in line with our commitment in terms of a council and in terms of our charter around moving towards a sustainable town and reducing our use of carbon producing electricity to move to greener versions of that. That's a commitment as a council we have made. How do councillors wish to proceed with this? Because we either miss this opportunity and it may not come back round again, or it may come round again, but it may not be for another year because of the way the world works. Councillor Ralph.
We could move to a vote, Chair, and that will give councillors the opportunity to,
Thank you.
Their opinion in a vote.
Thank you. And Councillor, Clark, you put your hand up. I apologise.
Well, I was only going to say that the grant from the district council has come from MTIG, and just bear in mind that by this time next year there might not even be South Somerset District Council, there might not even be an MTIG, because we'll probably be in a unitary situation by then.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Councillor Tudgay, and then we're going to move to a vote unless a councillor puts their hand up to speak quickly.
I was actually going to propose, Chair, that we go ahead and do this and take 7 from the reserves to match this.
Thank you.
Go ahead with the job.
So we have a proposal on the table as a 4 supporting the 7,000. Councillor Thomas.
I'll second that.
And Councillor Thomas is seconding that as a proposal. Do we have any other comments? If not, I'll move to a vote. So those 4. Right, Councillor Vag, can you take yourself off mute if you want to speak rather than putting it in the chat? Because that's not how we run a meeting.
Sorry. If we say can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. If we say we are going to do this, because we've got such a short space of time in which to make a decision, i.e. tomorrow. If we then do not go ahead with it, surely we can just return the money.
I don't know. I can't comment on that, but that's just, your comment is noted. We can investigate that if that is the case. Can I ask, unless anyone has any further comments from council, we have a proposal on the table that's seconded. So Councillor Tudgay has proposed, Councillor Thomas has seconded. Can I ask for a vote, please? Those for supporting the proposal to allocate 7,000 of reserves from council. So I have Councillor Thomas, Councillor Ralph, Councillor Power, Councillor Waters, Councillor Tudgay and Councillor Shelbourne-Barrow and Councillor Vag. I understand you've raised your hand. Can you confirm that, please?
Yes.
Thank you. And those against? Councillor Smith. Councillor Thomas, we voted now. Is it materially important you wish to speak?
I'm sorry, I've got a touch screen. It's me messing with
No, it's
my
not you.
screen.
Councillor Power has put his, sorry, if I said, oh, I apologise.
No,
You
Chair, all I want-
keep moving up and down the screen. Councillor
Sorry.
Power, do you wish to speak as we've now voted?
all I wanted to say was, is it possible I could clarify and do some more research into the token system that they use down the sports ground? Because I really do think that's a beneficial way of investing more into the town.
So before
that
we move
possible?
on, Councillor Power, I'm going to summarise up in a moment and we'll pick that point up. The clerk wishes to speak and then I want to summarise what we have just voted upon. So clerk.
Yeah, I was just going to say that is like a whole new agenda item, Councillor Power.
Yes.
So if you want to get in touch with me with some sort of wording, we can get it onto the open spaces agenda.
Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. That's fine. I'll give you an email tomorrow. We can
All right,
get
thank
that
you.
sorted.
Right. Okay, so thank you for that, Councillor Power. So can I then ask, can I just summarise the outcome of that proposal? And that proposal has been supported with one individual opposing that, and they've now, sorry, you've all moved around the screen again. I'm just trying to make sure everyone's still here that we expect to be here. So that's been supported, and I would ask the clerk then make contact with SSDC to confirm that. And the item Councillor Power has raised, I'd like Councillor Power to work with the clerk through open spaces to agree agenda item on how that would be investigated and shaped going forward. And I would also ask, Councillor Smith has made a valid point in terms of understanding the savings. So as part of that process, can I ask you, clerk, to go back to the provider and ask for expected savings, because it would be actually good for us to be able to track against it, to know if things aren't going the way they should, and maybe we've got an issue with connectivity around electricity or other, and we need to actually investigate that further, and to understand what the baseline might look like would be helpful. So thank you for that. And moving on now to 7D, to consider a grant application from Wincanton Recreational Trust. So council, you've received papers today following the submission from the Wincanton Recreational Trust. You will remember that in 2021, the council approved a grant allocation which was split across two amounts. The first amount was given after the precept was agreed, and the second amount was to be reviewed when there were changes to the setup, the organisational setup of that trust. That has now been confirmed and council have now received the papers. Are there any questions in relation to that, the submission of the papers that council wish to pose at this time? No, thank you. So can I then ask, we said we'd bring this back and for council to pose any additional questions, having due diligence completed by the clerk. Can I now ask if council have a proposer to support the release of the second half of the grant application, the grant allocation, sorry. Councillor Ralph, are you proposing? Can I have a seconder? Councillor Power, and can I have a vote, please, all those for the second tranche of monies to be allocated? So I'm going to ask for you to raise your hands if it's for. So I have for Councillor Thomas, Councillor Ralph, Councillor Power, Councillor Smith, Councillor Waters, Councillor Tudgay, Councillor Shelbourne-Barrett and Councillor Vagg. Councillor Vagg, can you verbally state your vote, please?
Yes, for.
Thank you. And I do, yes, Clark.
Sorry, can you confirm who seconded that, please?
Who seconded is Councillor Power. Thank you. So my understanding is that is approved, and I would ask that the clerk deal with that in accordance with normal process. So thank you for that. And now moving on the agenda, we now have 7E. So this is to consider allocating a portion of the mayor's allowance to charities. And as you're aware, council, the mayor's allowance is a sum of money that's held within the budget every year. And as part of that, the council can make a contribution to local charities against or using that allowance. So the two that are proposed are Wincanton Museum and History Society, a sum of £200, and the other charity is the Wincanton Silver Band, a sum of £500. So are there any questions in relation to that? Councillor Tudgay.
Is this from the 2021 budget or from the 21-22 budget?
It's from the 2021 budget. So there is a small amount of spend, which I don't actually know where that spend went because I didn't spend it, I didn't think, but anyway. But I've asked the clerk to investigate that, but this is from the actual allocation, which was around £3,000. So the majority of the monies left will be considered as part of our discussion for 21-22. So council, any comments in relation to the proposal? Yes, Councillor Power.
Would it be possible to abstain for this one, please, as I feel, as I'm a member of the Wincanton Silver Band, I don't want to get into the grant money issues, if you see what I mean. Is it possible to abstain?
Of course it is. Thank you for making us aware. Anyone else wish to make any comments? So can I ask if there's anyone wishing to propose the supporting the 200 and 500? Councillor Thomas, are you proposing? Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Waters. And those four, in terms of supporting this money to be allocated to the Wincanton Museum and Historical Society and the Wincanton Silver Band. So four, Councillor Thomas, Councillor Ralph, Councillor Smith, Councillor Waters, Councillor Tudgay, Councillor Shelbourne-Barrett and Councillor Vagg. Can you verbally confirm your vote, Councillor Vagg?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And can I ask those against, where we have one abstaining and I believe there's no one against, Clark?
Councillor Power, do you want me to record your abstention in the minutes? Okay.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 7D, to consider quotes for an internal audit for the 2021 financial year. I understand that we will be deferring this option due to the fact we currently having requested 3 quotes, we've only received 1. So we need to go back out again to enable us to have sufficient quotes to make that decision. So how do you wish us to note this, Clark?
I will just say that we're deferring it for the meeting.
So we're deferring it to the next meeting at the end of March. Any comments from council? Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the 7G, to review the financial risk assessment. Now, my understanding is this is being deferred to the next meeting. Is that correct, Clark?
Yeah, it needs a lot more work than I anticipated, and I was hoping to have it ready for you for this meeting, but it has to be approved before the end of the financial year, so I'll make sure that it's on the March agenda.
Thank you for that. Any comments, council? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 7H, to hear an update from the stakeholder group projects funded in 2021. So in terms of an update, we have a member of the public, Nick Truman, on the call today, and we have who may answer questions to one of the proposals that's been shared with council. So to set the scene, the Good Stuff Fund application process for 2021 had an application process where members of the public who are members of charities or groups in the town apply against very clear criteria to then go through a process with the stakeholder group, some of which started in the WEEP, Wincanton Ecological and Environmental Group, reviewing initially, then going to the stakeholder group to then review against the criteria outlaid in the Good Stuff Fund, and to then, if approved at that stage, to move forward as a recommendation for council to consider and approve. So there were two bids. One is Nick Truman's, the advocate for that bid, and it was sponsored by Councillor Greening, who's not in attendance tonight. Nick, I know I said it was only questions, but do you wish to add anything to the information that's already been shared with council in terms of a high-level summary?
I'm not sure what you would want me to add. I don't think we've got time for me to go through it all again. I'm happy to answer questions.
Not at all. Any questions from council? Because council would have received the papers in advance. Are there any questions from Nick Truman in relation to the Good Stuff Fund proposal? If not, then no one's asking to pose any questions, having read the documentation. Can I then ask for council, anyone who wishes to propose, councillors who wish to propose this to be supported? I'm quite happy to, oh, we've got a number of you. So I put my hand up, so I'm happy to say that I propose that the Nick Truman proposal is supported. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Thomas, and can I have a vote for council to support if you're for the proposal? So I have Councillor Thomas for, Councillor Tudgay, Councillor Ralph, Councillor Powell, Councillor Smith, Councillor Waters, Councillor Shelbourne-Barrow and Councillor Vagg. Can you verbally note your vote, Councillor Vagg?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. And I believe that is unanimous. So that is approved, as I understand it. Have you noted that, Clark? Oh, thank you. So, Nick, you're welcome to stay, but if you wish to leave, you're also welcome to do so. Our clerk will be in contact with you shortly in terms of how the monies will be released to you. As you're aware, the Good Stuff Fund has criteria and we ask for regular updates against the spend of public money. And we will probably ask you to provide an outline for your proposal, where you think you will be for the beginning of the new financial year.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and have a good evening. The second proposal, there isn't a member of the public representing tonight from One Planet Wincanton. They're not represented today, and this is a proposal that Councillor Vagg was the sponsoring councillor for, and this is a proposal where we had 3 quotes submitted for a piece of work in Cashes Park that was to put in steps, wooden steps, sleepers, that enable people to access the wooded area that's currently being planted with bulbs and other such things, supported by One Planet Wincanton. So those 3 quotes have been submitted. We then asked that council with the work supervisor looked at those in terms of insurance, but also in terms of the materials that were being proposed to ensure they met the standards that we as council wish to see. And today that bid has come forward for consideration and approval. So Clark, is there anything you wish to say at this time?
There's not, what about what specifically?
Cash's Park, is there anything you wish to add to what I've said?
No.
No?
Well, I mean, I can tell you that the works maintenance supervisor met with the applicants and was happy with the quote that was preferred by the people putting in the application.
Thank you.
Did check with the insurers, and that can be added to our public liability insurance without any problem.
Thank you. So councillors, are there any comments? Councillor Tudgay.
I am broadly in support of this proposal, but I do feel very strongly that I think a lot of this work could, or in fact should, be carried out by volunteers. And I would like to discuss this further, the possibility of doing some of this work with volunteers. I feel sure, I mean, for instance, if we contacted the King Arthur's, I'm sure a lot of the older students would be keen to get involved in a project like this.
Yes.
And I really think that this ought to come, perhaps there's a case for this to come to open spaces for a bit more discussion. But I'm broadly in support of the project, other than that.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Tugger. I would also say that when this proposal has been to WEEP and to the stakeholder group twice, that we have discussed volunteers helping with the piece of work, and broadly that was supported because obviously One Planet, who are undertaking the other works around that area, are volunteers, and we've just paid as part of the Good Stuff Fund for the plants and so forth. So I wouldn't disagree, and I don't think One Planet Wincanton would disagree either. So can I then say, from what I've heard today, that we are supportive of it? Is that what I've heard? Is there any other comments from council? So can I then ask for a proposer for this to move forward, please? And be supported by council to take to open spaces just for the final processes to be put in place in terms of looking at volunteers. And the proposer is Councillor Thomas.
Yes.
Seconder, please, Councillor Ralph. And can I have a vote from council if you're for supporting the proposal? So I have, sorry, people are moving about again. Councillor Thomas, Councillor Tudgay, Councillor Ralph, Councillor Power, Councillor Smith, Waters, Shelbourne Barrett and Vag. Can you verbally acknowledge that vote, Councillor Vag?
Yes, Chair. I would just say that as I'm a member of One Planet Wincanton, I'm not sure if I should excuse myself from this, but on the other hand, I'm actually sponsoring it, so I'm not sure where that leaves me. Can the clerk comment?
You would need to maybe declare a personal interest. You're not going to benefit financially, personally from it, so there's no disclosable pecuniary interest involved, just maybe a personal interest if it makes you feel better.
All right, well, declare a personal interest. Does that mean I withdraw my vote?
No, if it's just a personal interest, you're allowed to take part in discussions and to vote.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Then yes, I'm in.
Thank you. So I would ask the clerk to make contact with One Planet to confirm next steps, and also for this to be on the agenda for the next open spaces meeting so we can finalise the details to move forward. Thank you for that. Moving on to we've done H and I actually to consider the 2 bids. J is to hear an update on possible section 106 contributions to the town council.
Sorry, I think we may have missed. H. Did you do the update on the stakeholder group projects?
That was the update on the, sorry, you are entirely correct. My apologies. So council, sorry. In our last stakeholder group meeting, we confirmed as part of the end of year process, which I clarified with Nick Truman a moment ago, that any recipient of public spend, whether it's 500 or more, will be required to provide an end of year report to council. The report has been developed and has been shared with all recipients of the Good Stuff Fund, and they've been asked to reply by a given date so that we can complete our annual report that incorporates not only the name of the project, the monetary spend, but also the outcomes, because as you're aware, during 2021, we've had a number of projects due to COVID that have not been able to proceed at that time due to COVID and the restrictions, and they still wish to proceed and they're still viable as organisations to proceed. But we need to ensure we have written confirmation of that. So any funding that's allocated against the Good Stuff Fund during 2021 will be providing a written report, and we will then review that report to ensure we as council are informed and assured by what has been said. For those that we've had none of the organisations who've received the grant have contacted us saying they're unable to proceed. It's just a question of when, due to the restrictions we currently are living within. Are there any questions from council? My apologies for not remembering to talk about the template. No? So I hope at the end of March, if not April, to bring to council an overview of all those reports to present to council, so we can talk about the spend of public money. And obviously, as you're aware, any spend above £2,000 is required to provide a report. But we, as I said, we're asking of it for any sum of money that's allocated from the Good Stuff Fund. Okay, so that was 7H. We've completed 7I, and 7J is to hear an update of possible section 106 contributions to the town council. Clark, can I ask you to speak, please?
Yes, the situation is that both you and I have emailed the district council to ask them for the figures of how much section 106 funding might be coming to us, but we haven't heard back, and we do understand that a lot of staff have been redeployed to help with vaccinations and such like. So it's probably not unexpected that we haven't heard back, but we'll carry on requesting those figures.
Thank you. So I would ask that we put this onto the agenda for March, in the hope that we're in a position to hear an update. If not, we will move it forward to April, because this is a key area for us. We have a number of sums of money allocated under the section 106 against key pieces of work we agreed when we were in discussion with various developments within the town. And it's really important that we have sight of this, because next year and for the period of time that these are available, they will enable us to move forward certain pieces of work. So it is crucial, and that's why it will remain on our agenda to ensure that we keep it high profile. And I would ask, but neither of the district councillors are in attendance today, but can I ask you, Clark, to correspond with our 2 district councillors and ask for their support in accessing this information for us, please?
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you. Moving on to 7K, to hear an update on the insurance claim for the damage to the town hall which occurred in February 2020. Clark, can I invite you to speak, please?
Yes, so a claim was put in close to the time when the damage occurred, and then for whatever reason, a solicitor was appointed by the insurance company, but they didn't hear from the town council for quite some time, so the case was closed. So I did get back in touch with Zurich, the insurance company, and they're happy to reopen the claim. They didn't have a problem with that at all. So I just had to scan and send them the documentation that I had that Councillor Ralph had given me. That was done last week or the week before. So I'm hoping to hear back from them soon, hopefully from the solicitor who will be instructed by the insurance company.
Brilliant, thank you. So again, this is an area we will keep on the agenda to ensure that things are moving forward, and that will be the same for any of the claims that council are moving forward with. That obviously, I'm speaking to the plinth in the marketplace. Thank you for that, Clark. So moving on to 7I, to approve the February 2021 pay. Sorry.
L, not I.
L, I beg your pardon. To approve the February 2021 payment list and agree to councillors to sign the cheque. So let's first go through, if I may, the accounts. Are there any questions in relation to the accounts? I have Councillor Tudgay. Can I invite you to speak, please?
Thank you, Chair. 2 questions. An electricity bill for Laburnum Road Garage. I've been a member of this council for 7 years now, and I've never heard of Laburnum Road Garage. That's my first question. My second question, the call out paid to SSC, electricity company,
yes,
on the 4th of the 11th was obviously for the damage to the plinth.
Yes.
Should that bill not be forwarded to the insurers? Should be.
Yeah, well, it will be forwarded to the insurers, but the bill is made out to us in the first instance, or to the town council. So we are required to pay it, but we'll be looking to recoup that amount back by the insurance claim.
Lovely, thank you.
And the question in relation to the garage electricity, Clark?
Well, I can't answer that question off the top of my head. So I assumed that it was a building that we had because the bill came to me at the town council's address to the town council. But I can certainly look into it. So what you can do, if you don't wish to approve that payment, you can approve the whole list with the exception of that particular payment to give me an opportunity to look into it. I'm sure.
Yes, that would be helpful, I feel. Any other comments from council in relation to any other item on that monthly payment list? No? Okay, so what I'm hearing is we're looking to approve this subject to further approve the list, but then gain further clarity on the garage electricity of £82.23 plus £86.34 in total. So can I then ask for a proposer, please, in relation to the monthly February payment list? Councillor Tudgay, and a seconder is Councillor Smith. And can I have a vote for, please? If you're for supporting the list and gaining further clarity on the garage electricity. So 4 is Councillor Tudgay, Councillor Power, Councillor Ralph, Councillor Smith, Councillor Waters, Councillor Shelbourne-Barrow, and Councillor Vagg. Councillor Vagg, can you verbally?
Yes.
Councillor Thomas, are you choosing not to vote? In which case that's fine. Oh, you're voting. You're voting. Councillor Thomas is also vote. You're voting? Yes. So I understand that to be unanimous. There's no one against. So in relation to the next item on the agenda, which is yes, Councillor.
Sorry, did you agree who was going to sign the cheques?
That's the bit I was just about to do. So can I have, out of the, I believe it's 3 individuals who are authorised to sign cheques, can I have your hands to agree to do so? Councillor Tudgay and Councillor Waters are happy to sign cheques, so they will come into the office to do that. Clerk?
If it's not too much of an imposition, can I ask the Councillors Waters and Tudgay to come to the office tomorrow by 10 o'clock? Because the Deputy Town Clerk has training in the afternoon, and so she needs to leave the office at 12 promptly so she can go home and use her own computer to do the training, because she doesn't have a webcam in the office. Is that okay? Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you. Moving on to 7M, to consider 3 quotes for replacement of the bark needed for the zip wire surface Kell Park player, and choose a preferred provider. Clerk, I understand you wish to defer?
Well, actually, that was on last month's agenda and I just omitted to take it off, so I apologise for that. It's already been done.
Okay, so how do we record that?
I will just put a note in the minutes that it was on last month's agenda, and so it didn't.
Thank you. Okay, so I believe we've got to the final item on the agenda, which is 8 items for consideration at the next meeting. So can I ask council for any items you wish to put forward today? Councillor Power.
Just for that, the light meter, that's what I'd like to put onto the next agenda for the open spaces.
I think it's likely to go to open spaces first, and if it can, then come back in March or April, Councillor Power.
Okay, that's fine.
To full council. Any other comments from council? No? I would like to include in March an update from the stakeholder group end of year report, please. And also clarification, or if we are able to at that time, our financial position for end of year. Would we be in a position, Clerk, to be able to do that?
No, because we won't. It won't be the very end of March, but in the April meeting we'll do all the sort of end of year bank reconciliations and all that business in the April meeting when we've got the full year's information.
Thank you. I would then ask that we have an update on where we are against our moving bank and moving to online banking, please, if that's at all possible for March, if not April.
Yeah, I mean, I could give you a brief update now and then put it on the agenda for the next time. So I've printed off a whole bunch more forms today for Ray and Vicky and Linda to sign and everything. And there's certain bits of ID that need to be uploaded and things like that. But we're certainly going in the right direction. And in the process of starting that new bank account, we will also at the same time have internet banking at the same. You know, it's all part of the application process. It doesn't have to be done separately.
Thank you. So we're having had an update, we will ensure that it's on the agenda for March. If there's no further comments, I think I'm now I'm scanning the meeting and I can see no councillors raising a hand. I'm closing this meeting at 2021 on the whatever date it is, 22nd of February. I thank you very much for your time tonight and your commitment to council, and I look forward to seeing you at our next full council meeting and other meetings that we take forward as council. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.